Hello and welcome to today's video. My name's Haley and today is all about the Siddhi state of exquisiteness. Emphasis here on the word state. This is not a frequency because it's not even measured on a spectrum. All Siddhi states are infinite, therefore omnipotent, omnipresent, and cannot be measured. And little side note, this video is also for the purpose of fun. We're dancing around topics, and when I say we, I mean me, Richard Rudd, and whoever's leaving comments, everyone who's in this discussion. We're dancing around something that really can't be explained because it isn't really meant to. So this video is for the purpose of exploration, fun, and enjoyment, and contemplation. So exquisiteness. Exquisiteness, that is an interesting word. I like that word, exquisite. It's very precise, and to me it sounds like a bougie chef would say it. Like I imagine some 5-star, I don't know how many stars are in the Michelin, these people that eat food and judge food and put the stars. I have a feeling a guy with like a really tall hat making some very fancy dish would try something and say, that is exquisite. Which to me, this word means so one of a kind, so beyond anything I've ever experienced, so unique. And it's used, like once again, in my opinion, with a carefulness because it's so rare. So when it's used, there's a amplitude of energy behind this word. So with this gnosis, this understanding, Richard Rudd says, exquisiteness is experienced when the divine essence begins to shine through the individual. Okay, so I can experience these moments of peaceful ecstasy. I say peaceful because it's not this peak and then it goes away, like when you take the drug ecstasy or when you're in an ecstatic state. It's a peaceful ecstasy in the sense that it's steady and it's consistent because it's omnipresent. So this exquisiteness is experienced when divine essence, when creative life force moves through you and shines through you. That could look like a person who's singing their heart out on the guitar, and just people can't help but fully immerse themselves in this person's expression. Exquisiteness could also, as I used earlier, be experienced through someone making such an amazing godly dish that you're just like, that is exquisite. So it's interesting to kind of brainstorm what creative flow states make your jaw drop, and where do you start to feel that you're tapping into this state of exquisiteness? What form of expression makes you feel like the divine essence is shining through you? It's a bold statement. And I'll just say, it doesn't have to be something that's considered conventionally artistic. You could feel the divine essence flowing through you as you just look at the trees, if you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on enough. Or you could feel this exquisiteness manifest, or I guess I should say reveal itself. It's always here, right? Because it's omnipresent, because it's a Siddhi state. You could feel this exquisiteness reveal itself to you as you, when you smell that candle that reminds you of a very loving time with a family member. So it could be something very simple or something very obviously creative, like playing the guitar, creating something beautiful out of food, surfing, I don't know. It could be anything and everything because, once again, Siddhi states omnipresent, meaning they are everywhere all the time. In the mundane, in the seemingly mundane, and in the more obviously creative, ecstatic states of being. He says that you fall in love with your own pristine manifestation. So essentially you fall in love with you. And reading that made me think of how every relationship coach and, you know, all these cliches about love is, oh, you have to love yourself before you find love. So Richard Rudd here basically says you have to be, not that you have to be, but when you're embodied in exquisiteness, you naturally, as a byproduct, fall in love with yourself, which spurred my mind to think you naturally fall in love with not only the entirety of your environment, but have a high chance of falling in love with another individual as well. He's basically saying that you access God, you access the divine, you access all of love through self-love. This is the gateway or the door to exquisiteness. And he throws in some nice flowery things. You shine like a diamond in the heart of creation. You see other diamonds in various states of clarity, each one unique and exquisite and incomparable. Okay, so when I am in a state of exquisiteness, not only do I shine like a diamond because divine God essence is flowing through me and expressing itself in every single way that I move, every single person I talk to, every single way I eat, but also the person who is embodied within this state has the ability and the capacity to see other diamonds, all of which are completely unique, exquisite, and incomparable to one another. Basically, he's saying, I see, if I'm embodied within this state of exquisiteness, I see infinite levels of beauty that are all equal to one another, in the sense that no one person, no one diamond out there is more beautiful than another, but they're all equally beautiful in a completely different way. Whew, try to wrap your head around that. It's kind of a paradox. And again, just a reminder, the Siddhic states are not necessarily meant to be fully comprehended with the mind. They're meant to be felt with the heart space. And even as I'm reading this, okay, maybe I can't fully understand how I could start to view every single person I see as exquisite and beautiful, not more than one the other. They're all equally exquisite and beautiful, but in completely different ways. Maybe I can't kind of understand and analyze how that could even possibly happen, because my mind doesn't have the capacity, the battery to compute that. But as I read this, I feel in my heart, wow, that would be beautiful. I feel a sense of relief. I feel a sense of awe and wonder and curiosity toward embodying within this state of exquisiteness. And that in and of itself tells me that it's true. When relief washes over, when awe washes over, when the heart smiles, it means it's true, even though, once again, maybe the mind can't get online. You essentially start to see beauty everywhere, not only in just people, literally in everything. Every single thing is exquisite and equal and incomparable. Exquisite, equal, and incomparable. He says that this is an extremely rarefied level of consciousness. Because, once again, you're seeing individuality. You're still seeing people as they are, as unique individuals. Yet, somehow they're also equal. They're different and equal at the same time. So, to be embodied within this state is extremely rare. So since you're still able to sense separation with individuals, you're also able to perceive the duality with you and someone else. He says you remain differentiated at the level of form. So I know, let's just say I'm embodied in this. I know I'm me, I know you're you, I know Richard Rudd is Richard Rudd. But at the collective universal level, the individual who is embodied in this state has a universal level of awareness that permeates all forms. And he uses the analogy of, I am both the drop in the ocean as well as the ocean itself. And I don't know where he referenced that from, but I've heard that one before. I think that's a really beautiful way to put a metaphor to this kind of big topic we're trying to discuss. I am both a drop in the ocean and the entirety of the ocean. And actually, I guess meditating on that could be interesting. Meditating on that concept, that feeling, that gnosis of I am a drop in the ocean, as well as the entirety of the ocean. That seems like a good one to sit with. Your true nature is wildness. And the person who's embodied within the state sees through all the veils, he says. They see that life is ever changing, that nothing is the same from moment to moment. So he says that this person never sees things the same, constantly in motion and evolution. That means they themselves also are aware that they're constantly in motion. So these people are essentially legends at letting go, right? They're constantly letting go to let in. There's divine flow through them. You can quite literally imagine water flowing through them, and they're easily and effortlessly letting all of the water go because they know that more is coming in. Way easier said than done, right? The ability to continuously let go and be in the flow of life, be completely present. Like water, it's always moving, changing, evolving, but the river itself is unchanging, and the river is consciousness. Another beautiful water metaphor for us to try to understand this. So the water in the river is always moving, changing, but the river itself is unchangeable. The river is the consciousness. I am the ocean, but there's a drop in the ocean. These metaphors are nice to meditate upon, in my opinion. This one as well. You can meditate upon the fact that the river is unchanging, although that the water in the river is always moving. Okay, so exquisiteness, once again, is highly unique. They see not only the completely incomparable beauty within themselves, but also the incomparable beauty within every single other individual, while holding a sense of equanimity. And he says that our most common mistake is, say I meet someone that's embodied in this state of exquisiteness, truly embodied, truly operating at a frequency of self-love that is so radiant that not only am I attracted to them, but so is everyone else in the sphere. And they're going about their day, letting go, letting in, expressing themselves creatively, allowing divine flow to just flow through them because of the state that they're in. He says that the main mistake that me and everyone else will make, more likely than not, is we will be so inspired, so awestruck by the person that's embodied in this state that we will try to emulate them. Wow, Jenny is just so creative and beautiful, and gosh, the way she sings and moves and dances, and I want to be like Jenny. So this is where the vital mistake comes in, right? Well, okay, I'm not Jenny, first of all. I'm my own incomparable, unique ability to be embodied within the state of exquisiteness being. And so if I emulate Jenny, who's going to fulfill the purpose of being Haley? So this is what he's saying here. It's we're meant to be inspired by the people in this state, but we're not meant to emulate them. We're meant to see them, observe them, utilize that motivation and that inspiration to come more into ourselves. Because gosh, I don't remember where this quote's from, but there's a very cheesy saying, which is like, if you don't be yourself, no one else will. Because like there's only one Haley Snyder. Well, there's multiple Haley Snyders, right? But one Haley Snyder with like this look, these parents, this old job, this new job that lives here and does all these things. There's only one of me, and if I don't fulfill the job of coming into gnosis and awareness of me, then no one else will either. And as cheesy as it is, the cheese is always true. You know that if you've watched any of my videos. And it's true. Jenny needs to be Jenny. Haley needs to be Haley. Richard Rudd needs to be Richard Rudd. And we can be inspired by others. You know, I can be completely awestruck and inspired by Richard Rudd. Nonetheless, I'm not meant to go and try to completely emulate everything he does. I can take inspiration and speak to what has inspired me and evolve that which he inspired me with, while also holding the frequency of who I am. This is what he's saying. So it's a fine line here, making sure you're not emulating or mocking the person within this state of exquisiteness, but rather deriving inspiration and motivation from them to come more into yourself. And I guess the first contemplation of this video will be, who do you know that as I've talked about all this, you're like, oof, that person probably is in this state of exquisiteness? Who do you know who's just so themselves, so unique, creatively expresses themselves in ways that are conventional and non-conventional, and essentially is a magnet for love because they emulate love? Who is that person in your life, or those peoples, if you're lucky to know more than one within your life? And I mean, again, this is also cheesy, but I would even say it'd be worthwhile to sit down and write them just a note of gratitude. Turn on your own heart center, that powerful generator of love. You know, marinate on the ways in which they've inspired you so that you can, utilize some of that inspiration to come more into yourself. I think that could be a really nice activity. I like to write letters. That's like one of my favorite things to do. It opens your heart. And gosh, I mean, double espresso or write a heart open letter, I think they're pretty much the same. The amount of energy you get from writing a truly like heart opened gratitude letter is pretty awesome. So there's a prompt for you all if you're feeling like doing some writing. He says these people are not leaders. They are examples. They don't want people to follow them, right? Because once again, there's no hierarchy in their mind. They're not trying to create a cult following or have people's look to them as to what to do or how to be. They're so busy being themselves, so busy observing the beauty all around them that they have no time for this kind of game of leadership. They also don't see a hierarchy, so in their mind there's no ability to be a leader. Everyone is equal. And it's because of this kind of humbleness that they carry with them that they have such a liberating effect on individuals, is what he says. They wish for people to find their own answers and answer their own questions, like Socrates. And to keep quoting Richard Rudd, he says, their very presence acts as a light to free individuals from structured systems. Their very presence. That means just being in the same room as someone with this frequency can quite literally free others from these structured systems, from hierarchies, from social norms, from fear of being themselves, from lack of authenticity. That's huge. If you even come in with vicinity to someone like this, you are forever changed. And again, I mean, the people I think of as I read this are, I'm lucky to, I truly believe, have come into contact with, off the top of my head, 3 of these people. And maybe more, even subconsciously, right? But consciously, I can count 3 people that I'm like, yeah, they're fucking exquisite. And I do have to say, like, even consciously, I was aware that they changed the trajectory of my life, even just by being in their presence and witnessing their ability to not only be authentic, but also allow the divine essence, the creative life force, to flow through them and express in ways that are really not conventionally creative at all. Jeff, who cleans the windows, is the perfect example. I've brought up Jeff a few times. That man is exquisite. He cleans windows like with such a radiance to him. So silly, but true. So the person who's immersed in this, he says, is absolutely clear about life. They're absolutely certain who they are, and what they are, and what they're doing currently in that moment or not doing in that moment. They're very trusting in life, trusting in the divine will God's plan, whatever you want to call it. Therefore, there's no kind of energy being used within the mind space to deter the individual from accelerating. All their energy is freed up to simply be present, be loving, and emulate that radiance that inspires others. And once again, because this is a acidic state, of course, it's a wild paradox. So he says, although life is absolutely clear for these people, paradoxically, it's clear because of the very uncertainty and wildness of life. So I'm going to bring back an analogy I kind of briefly painted within the last video. Whereas, okay, say you're a fisherman and you like tuna. You want a big tuna, 200-pound tuna, okay? You go catch something, you bring it in. It's not a tuna, it's a mahi. The fisherman that's embodied within the state of exquisiteness will say, tuna or mahi or something else, I don't care. Thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, ocean. Thank you. Even if they catch an octopus, works for me. Maybe I don't even like octopus. Sorry if you're watching this and you don't eat octopus. This is offensive. I'm not trying to offend you. But my point is, whatever fish life throws at them, they make do with and they eat. And when they do get the tuna, maybe that is their favorite, they praise just as much as if they get the mahi, because they see the futility in complaining and worrying, and they're utilizing all their energy to see the beauty, to see the opportunity within every piece of fish. They have the awareness that all fish have protein, all fish are food, and all fish are going to give them the energy they need to keep fishing. Also, this is a terrible analogy if you're a vegan, I'm so sorry. But you get the point. They see an equanimity between all the fish while also seeing that the fish are different fish. They're all providing the same level of energy for the fisherman to keep expressing its creative life force. They also are aware that an octopus is different from a mahi is different from a tuna is different from a vana. So everything's absolutely clear. I'm taken care of. There's plenty of fish or other animals in the sea, but I don't know which one I'm gonna get. But it's all good. Like, I trust that whatever is meant to come to me, whatever God wants me to eat for that day, will be delivered. My only job is to sit back, relax, and enjoy fishing. That's it. So they know life as a rush of contradictions and mysteries, and that they know that it's not designed to be solved. Well, why did I get a mahi instead of a tuna? They don't even ask that. They understand that life is a mystery. Sometimes there's tons of mahi, you get mahi for like weeks and weeks on end, and then randomly you'll get a tuna. They don't even question it. They just keep saying thank you. They're so embodied and busy saying thank you, observing beauty, having an open heart, that there is no room for this logical analysis within the mind, trying to solve life or figure out why they got the tuna instead of the mahi. What they do know is that life is unpredictable. And it's that constant, the constant that life is always changing, that provides them relief, relaxation, and the ability to keep trusting. And because this is the 8th gene key, he quickly goes over some numerology with us. He says that the number 8 represents the timeless quest for the buried treasure that lies inside each of us, that elusive diamond of our true nature. I just thought I'd bring that up because he brought it up, and it's interesting. He hasn't mentioned, the meaning of numbers at all up until this 8th gene key. And when I say that, I mean if you're going chronologically through the book. I've actually read the keys out of order, but for the sake of you who is watching, I'm going through chronologically. So the first time he mentions symbolism in reference to numbers, if you're reading this book chronologically, is within this 8th gene key. 8 represents the timeless quest, the ever-present quest for the buried treasure that lies inside each of us, for our purpose. returning to the shadow state videos within this 8th gene key, I talked about how Richard Rudd talked about how purpose, gifts, talents keep unlocking the more you step into your own style and eventually into the state of exquisiteness. It never ends. It's not like one day you wake up, oh, I found my purpose. What now? No, there's always more purpose to be uncovered. It never ends. It's a timeless quest. He says these people create their path as they walk it. And their legacy to the world is to dismantle concepts of how one should live or what one needs to do in order to attain any particular state. I liked that a lot because I've actually been contemplating recently how bizarre is it that when you first meet someone, they want to know things. What do you do? Where are you from? Even beyond what's your name? Why do you live here? They want to figure you out. One of the first questions always is, what do you do? Which essentially, if you really think about that question, is how do you make a living for yourself? How do you sustain yourself? That's what they're asking. It's kind of a bizarre question. And as a person who's, kind of always had a job that is a little bit more unpredictable than the common 9 to 5, I've always been like, what do I do? Even when I was a model, I was like, should I say I model? Like, is that even a job? So it's interesting because these people, he's saying, are here to dismantle all of these concepts of how one should live or what one needs to do in order to attain a particular state. These people want to undo this asking of what do you do? Poof, there's no need to even ask that because the person who embodies this state is so obviously expressing the divine essence that I would assume what Richard Rudd is trying to say here is that people don't even feel the need to ask them, what do you do? Because they're so busy observing the exquisiteness that's manifesting through this being. They drop the jaws of those around them. They dismantle all the concepts within the mind of those around them. They essentially bring people to presence, which is huge. Quiet the mind and open the heart, not only within themselves, but also with those that gravitate towards them, even subconsciously. Okay, I'm just going to read this banger of a line. He says, to them, the only outsider in the world are those who look outside themselves for guidance or definition. And the only strangers in the world are those who spend their lives in imitation of someone else, because that is what's strange and makes them strangers unto themselves. When I look out for validation, for confirmation, for society to tell me how to be, for my mother to tell me how to live, when I look to emulate my neighbor, I become a stranger unto myself. I abandon the opportunity and the honor of being able to live the life of Haley Snyder. When I keep outsourcing what I should do or how I should be from another, I become strange to myself. And this last line he says here, their absolute delight, the person embodied within this Siddhic state, is in being abandoned to the mystery of life itself with no need for method or meaning. This brain is serving the heart. It's not of its own free will trying to analyze and sort the matrix. It's completely satisfied with the fact that it will never be satisfied, if that makes sense. The words life is a mystery, those words provide relief. So that wraps up the 8th gene key. Wow, that was a good one. I'll see you guys next time to get into the 9th gene key, which is called The Power of the Infinitesimal. I'm gonna have to Google how to say that. See you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in with me for this Gene Keys episode. I also just wanted to come on here and start promoting my one-to-one coaching that I offer to women and girls ages 16 to 35. If you followed me on Instagram for a while, you might be a little bit familiar with my story. I was a model in New York City for 5 years, and in that time frame, I did quite some damage. I developed a really severe eating disorder, body dysmorphia, chronic anxiety. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even go out to dinner without thinking about how much calories, how much I'd have to overwork out in order to compensate for what I was eating. All of those issues led to quite a depression and turned into PCOS, and I also lost my menstrual cycle for over 5 years. All of this amalgamation of issues led me to soon realize that something needed to change. I went through much work. Many people helped me to get to where I am now. And I'm so thrilled to say I'm living such a more abundant life, and I don't feel zapped and drained and fear of judgment anymore like I used to. I would love to offer what I've learned through my own embodied experience, the meditative techniques that have gravitated toward me, and the own verified games that I've made up and curated to help you walk home to more of you and who you really are, so that all of these things can stop draining your energy. You know, all the constant comparison to others and to your people on Instagram, all the over-analysis about working out and what you're eating or what you look like. All of these things are not what life's about, as cheesy as it sounds. And I would love to help you come into more unity with you if you struggle with any of these things and you're a woman or girl between the ages of 16 and 35. So feel free to reach out to me if one-on-one coaching sounds resonant. You can feel free to DM me through Instagram or contact me via email, both of which will be left below in the description box. So much love and aloha to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.